Hello, welcome to our session, Voice, Pitch, Tone, Voice Modulation and Learning. We're going to learn today how voice, tone, or your pitch can help students in learning. So let's talk about what is voice modulation. So in simple terms, voice modulation means, in simple language, that how do we control our voice while we are speaking. So having that said, it means tuning the tone of your voice for clear communication. As we all know that voice is one of the main tools for communicating with others. So the tone, the voice modulation helps us immensely to communicate with people. The purpose of voice modulation is to create an impact on the audience. In this case, for you as teachers, who are your audiences? Your audiences are the young children. So your voice or the modulation of your voice, your tone, your pitch helps to create and get the message across and make your teaching more effective and meaningful. So how do we speak? What are some of the different ways we speak? In general, we are going to talk about that first. So we teach sometimes, we speak sometimes fast, or sometimes it's needed to speak slow. Sometimes we use a high pitch, sometimes we use a low pitch. Sometimes, like now, I'm taking a pause, that I'm stopping and then making my next statement. What it does, it retains the interest in the content, and your audience or the students are interested and engaged in what you are saying or doing. And then it is also an art or used effectively to emphasize certain keywords in your content or your lesson, whenever or whatever you are sharing with the children. And also, as a general rule, think about this. Keep that excitement and the passion in your voice when you share the content or you give some instruction to the children for academic instruction or any other instruction that happens throughout the day in the classroom. Because if you don't keep that excitement alive in your voice and modulate your voice like up and down, otherwise it makes the communication very boring, very monotonous, and that is our key. Like, let's talk about what do we do next. So that is the way or the excitement that you should always be keeping it alive in your classroom when you are teaching the children. What is the importance of your tone? So let us talk about what does your tone in the classroom, what does it do in your everyday daily routine or your schedule? So it creates a structure and it creates an organization in the classroom. It maintains the routine in the classroom and helps you to maintain the structure. It also helps us to establish and retain that warm bonding and relationship with children, because the way we communicate, the way we effectively talk to the children helps us to maintain that relationship and providing children that comfort, providing children that assurance, that acknowledgement that we do every day helps us to keep that bonding alive. And that helps us immensely to make our teaching effective and make learning effective as well. It also keeps students engaged in a meaningful way, which means the students they're not losing the track of their learning. There will be a little bit distraction here and there, which is perfectly normal for children of this age. But overall, we keep our students effective and engaged. And the tone of our voice, the modulation, the pitch, it creates a significant effect in keeping children effectively engaged. So talking about starting your day, your morning greetings about good morning, or whatever way you want to start your day, or teaching children to say thank you or please, it also creates the environment. It creates the environment right from the morning greetings to the whole flow of your classroom is very effective, because it creates that positive climate in your classroom. And always, always remember that it is you who set the tone at the beginning of each day. It is you who is the positive role model for children to learn from you. So always be sincere in your tone. You have to be very, very sincere, because a lot of times we sometimes don't realize, but what we say, it does not convey the same message from our body language, our facial expression, our tone. Because I will give you an example, and this is my personal example. I had two young kids in my classroom. They were 4.5, about 5, and they have done something which was honestly not a very positive thing to do. And I told them, I said, I'm very sad today for what you have done. And whenever you think you are ready to talk about it, we're going to talk about it. So in a matter of 2 minutes, one of the students said, Miss Mila, are you mad with me? And I replied, no, I'm not mad with you. And he said, no, you are. What made me realize in that split second that even though I said I'm not mad or upset, but my tone, my voice gave a different message. So giving you this example is just letting you know that we need to be mindful and careful how we say it, because we may be saying something, but our tone in the voice is conveying something different. So the tone of our voice is a very, very powerful and effective tool in communication, in teaching, and we have to always remember that. Start your day in a positive way, and that is the best way to start your day. So how do we do it? Now, because of COVID, there are different social protocols that have to be maintained, but I'm talking about the general term. And we can hope and pray that soon we're going to get back to our normal routine in the classroom, where this kind of warm environment is very much essential for these young children. So the morning greetings can be in different ways: a hug, a fist bump, or shaking hands, or waving at each other. And we can also give choices to the children and ask them, how would you like to do your morning greetings? And here are some examples. Blow a kiss. We can say namaste. We can heat bump. We can air hug, giving a make-believe like a air hug, which is very effective during the COVID, because we have to follow certain rules. Say hello, or wink, or wave, or bow, or as a courtesy, or a foot bump. So in the morning, greetings can be in any different way, or ask the children, how would you like to do it? How would you like me to greet you? Or how would you like to greet your friends? So these could be some of the ways that you could apply in your classroom, and always take into consideration your children's interests. So if you can keep them, or just kind of copy it and keep this poster in your classroom right by the door, or at a focal point where children can come and look at it, and you can tell them, which one would you like to choose this morning? And they would be very happy to let their choice know, and they will be happily also applying it. Teaching children about voice modulation. So not only do we need as adults to use effective voice modulation for teaching children or communicating with children, but we can teach children as well to also learn how to modulate their voices. And what are some of the ways that we can help the children to learn to use modulation as an effective tool? And what does it actually do to the children? Effective use of voice modulation helps the children to build up confidence, because public speaking is a little nervous. It's a little nerve-wracking. We all agree to it. It takes a lot of practice for us to feel that confidence in us to get up or speak publicly, and it doesn't happen overnight. So the same way, children should have opportunities to do practices, and over the period of time, when we provide different variety of opportunities to these children, it helps them to build the confidence level. Also, what it does, it improves children's communication skills, that how to talk, speak clearly, so we can give a clear message and let the other person or our audience know what we mean to convey. It teaches the children how to speak in public, because public speaking, not everybody can be at the same level, but at least we should always have activities, which we are going to talk about in a little bit, about what are some of the ways that you can teach this particular skill and help the children to speak publicly. Because by nature, a lot of children are very shy, and we got to use some specific ways, some one-on-one interaction, to be able to slowly build up on the confidence level for the children to be able to overcome that shyness. And it also teaches children to understand the emotion. Like I said in that example that I gave a little bit before, that how does it help us to also understand how the other person or the speaker is feeling. So this is very important. The voice modulation, the tone in your voice helps to set the ground, and also to help us understand and identify the emotion that is involved in this particular speech or communication. So as teachers, we got to be extra careful and practice this over and over effectively to master the skill of effective modulation and communication with the children. How to improve voice modulation skill in children. So now let's talk about some concrete examples that how can we coach and help to slowly build up on this particular skill. So remind the children to speak slowly but clearly. And again, I would tell you, you have to provide children with a variety of opportunities throughout the day where they feel comfortable and they feel good about self-expression, because providing that opportunity not only helps children to be better speakers or able to modulate their voice more effectively, it also helps them to be effective learners. So forming that relationship, providing that level of comfort in the classroom helps the children. And in order to do that, what is one of the most primary things that you need to do? You need to know your individual child. You need to know their likes, their dislikes. What do they like? What are their interests? So this is very, very important. And provide opportunities for them to practice over and over and over, because as we say, practice makes it perfect. And children should be given also opportunities throughout the day to sing, dance, act out, read aloud, and using different kinds of puppets. Like you can have them to make some paper puppets. You can have them to use an old sock to draw some eyes and nose and a mouth, and use this as a simple prop, which can be done in the classroom or some brown paper bags can be also effectively be used as a hand puppet. And there are different ways to use puppets as effective tools. So all these opportunities that you provide to the children, from singing, dancing, movement, reading aloud, practicing, or acting out, or give them the choice to enact as pick up a character they like in a certain story or a book and then act it out. So all it does in a very non-judgmental way, because this is not exam, this is nothing like taking a test, but it provides the children a better foundation or a better platform to be able to self-express themselves. So always keep in mind to make it interesting and provide a variety of opportunities in your classroom for children to be meaningfully engaged in different kinds of activities. Exercises for voice modulation. What are some of the things that you can do for helping the children? So make it your classroom schedule and routine for the children, like counting numbers. Use different songs. You can get it from Google or YouTube. You just put the subject, like counting songs on YouTube for early young children. Reciting rhymes. Talk about antonyms and synonyms, which means things that are similar, things that are opposite. So all these kind of exercises every day, which you already do in some ways in your classroom, helps the children to learn the modulation. Singing different kinds of songs with fast rhythm, songs with slow rhythm, songs with different tempo, songs from different cultures. So all these kind of helps in a very simple way for children to practice and develop skills in effective voice modulation. Humming. What is humming? Humming is simply the tune. When you, instead of using the words, आप जब सुर लगाते हो, just simply आप सुर को इस्तेमाल कीजिए instead of the words. And humming is also a very effective tool for developing voice modulation skills in young children. Practicing breathing exercises, which is like our pranayam. You can do some simple exercises during your morning routine with the children to practice pranayam or yoga, because it doesn't have to be perfect. Children are still learning, but helping them to do those kind of exercises, also what it does, it calms the brain. It kind of helps them to focus more effectively and also remind them how to use their voices to communicate effectively. And this is something we have to practice as teachers, that we're going to talk about it also in a little bit. Like, getting attention never means that we have to use our voice or yell or shout at the top of our lung. If I have to shout to get anyone's attention, then I need to look into myself to find another way, because yelling as a practice with children does not work. They may pay attention for a brief time, but you're going to find out, and I'm sure you do not use it, but yelling and shouting is not an effective media for getting children's attention and teaching them also self-regulation skills. How to use your voice to influence behavior in children. Now, this is something very, very important that I felt that I would like to address and add to this training session. That we have children where we need to repeat ourselves to get their attention. So here are some simple ways where we can use our voice or voice modulation skills to catch or draw children's attention. So to get attention, for giving a short direction or command, if children are too hyper, you can have them to count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For little older children, you can back count starting from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So what it does, it immediately focuses the children on that counting, and back counting takes a little more extra effort. So it is always good to do that as a practice, and you can use that as a practice in your classroom. Also, to use your voice to provide clear expectations. So what are some of the fundamental basic rules and expectations that you have in your classroom? So communication of that nature can be of different ways. You can use verbal cues, you can use picture cues, but communication, the mode of communication can be different, but the message should be very clear, because children, as a rule, you have to keep repeating it. So as a rule, before doing any activity in particular, if you go over the rules once, and also make sure you ask the children, what did you understand? So can you tell me how we should be doing it? What you should be doing it? So these how, why, when questions help you to also clarify that they have understood your expectations. So always be clear and communicate that message clearly through your voice. Acknowledge and offer specific praise. So if you find a child or children doing something like what they're expected to do or following the rules effectively, after you got their attention, always acknowledge that behavior, that positive behavior, and always offer specific praise, meaning tell them, why are you telling that they have done a good job? What it does, it not only motivates that particular child to do next time, choose a better positive choice, but it also energizes and motivates the children who are around, because in order to get your positive attention, they will choose to do a positive work instead of doing or being engaged in something negative. And one of the other rules that I would like you to always practice and follow is to be slow, keep your voice low, but at the same time, stay firm. Your voice should be firm, because providing the message should be very clear. You don't have to keep on repeating yourself. And in order to be helpful and effective, you can use different ways of communication. Like I said, these are verbal cues, but you can make some pictures, and you can even make those pictures and show it to the children for getting their attention as well. So your voice modulation can be an effective tool for behavior management in your classroom. And behavior management is an integral part of your classroom routine, what helps you to make learning effective, engaging, and being meaningful. Using your voice in reading a story, or storytelling, what we call. So when you are telling a story, in this case, if you look at it, both the teachers are using different kinds of props and pictures for retelling the story. So what it does, this kind of modulation, tone, and active participation holds the children's interest. The children are engaged. Look at the children that are sitting in this picture. They are like looking at it like in an awe. Like they want to see it. They want to be engaged. So also keep in mind, while you are doing this, engage the children. Ask them a lot of open-ended questions, which means what? That a question which does not have one single answer. So doing that and using your voice modulation and your tone helps the children to keep engaged during an activity like storytelling. And storytelling is a very easy and effective tool that you should be doing and helping the children to participate every single day. Because doing or reading to the children and storytelling, it builds up lots of skills in children, which helps in the long run. And also remember this, children who are being read, research says that children who are being read from an early age are better readers, better learners, and they achieve much better academically. So volume of your voice matters. So when we are talking about the modulation, the tone, we also are going to talk about the volume of your voice. How high are you or how low are you? What is the pitch of your voice, which is also very important because it creates and maintains that classroom structure and equilibrium in the classroom. So you can actually copy this poster or you can hand draw it and also have the children help you to decorate. But this is just an example. You can use it effectively in any way you think it should be good for your kids and your children in the classroom. So the voice volume chart, if you have this poster in your classroom, will help the children to identify, and you can set the tone like, okay, children, we're going to be practicing. What number should we practice when the teacher is talking? Okay, who can tell me? Is it going to be 4? No, it is not 4. Is it going to be 2? In a way it is. It's an inside voice. Is it going to be 1? A whisper. That can be sometimes. Or is it going to be 0? No talking, because the teacher, my teacher, is trying to communicate and letting me or us know something. So having this poster or picture cue and also print here, which means number 4 is screaming. It is only used for emergency. And what are some of the emergency in your classroom? You need to leave the room. Someone has got hurt or something major has happened. That's when we yell and we say it loud. What is number 3? It is also a sort of yelling, like when we are playing outside in the playground. We can use our, high pitch voice and kind of like use our yelling voice and tone. Number 2, what does number 2 says? Inside voice, like I am speaking to you now, which is our natural speaking volume. So inside, when children are being engaged and talking amongst themselves, or an adult is communicating with the student, we should be using most of the time our inside voices. Now, I purposefully have used 1 as a whisper to give you an example. For getting attention, if children are too loud, I would one of the things that I used to do was to turn the light off. As soon as the light goes off, it catches their attention immediately. And then you could use your whispering voice and say, hi, kids. We are going to be using our number 1 voice, which is going to be whisper. So what it does, this modulation in your voice helps the children and helps the children to do calm down. So these are some simple practices that you can implement and imply in your classroom and use it as effective tools. So this is just an example. Whatever works good or best for your classroom, you are more than welcome to use that in your classroom setup. Here is another example that I want you to look at. Using a classroom voice thermometer. What does a thermometer do? Practically, it measures our fever. So here we can draw a thermometer and the children can help you color it. It's color-coded and number-coded. So the red or the number 5 is the loud voice, which is screaming. And you can give a concrete example. What does scream mean? And you can ask the children, do you like that loud voice and screaming? And most of the kids are going to say, no, we don't like that loud scream, the screaming voice. The number 4, or the orange, is the medium voice. It's like you can go outside, play, children are engaged in something active, and that could be a medium voice. The yellow, or the number 3, is the inside voice, which is the normal tone, the normal pitch that we use as our mode of communication. Number 2 is the quiet voice. Like, say, for example, 2 kids or 4 kids are working at a center. So when they're communicating with themselves, they're using a low pitch and a low tone in their voice. And provide the children with examples and ask them to give you an example, because when we do something, it helps us to better retain that knowledge, and we can effectively use it when it is needed again. And that blue is the low voice. It's a very low voice. It's not whisper, but it is a low voice. So whichever works for you, I gave you 2 examples for using in your classroom. One is a poster and one is a thermometer. Let's talk about some effective practices that we need to remind ourselves to always remember. Do not use sarcasm. बच्चों के साथ आप ऐसे बातें कभी मत करना that they feel being disrespected और उसके मन में कुछ दुख पहुंचे. We got to be very, very extra careful not to use sarcasm like, really? Oh, that's what you think? These are sarcasm. You are disrespecting and belittling that child. And sarcasm in any form causes so much deep hurt in a person, be it a child or be it an adult. So we got to be very, very careful not to use sarcasm in our tone. Never humiliate or disrespect someone. Just because a person has made a negative choice does not necessarily mean that that person should be humiliated or disrespected. And the same thing is applicable for children as well. So let us always remember that very, very clearly. Be consistent and clear. आपकी क्लासरूम की रोज की जो रूटीन और स्केड्यूल जो है उसमें कंसिस्टेंसी इज वेरी वेरी एसेंशियल. आप इधर कुछ करो उधर कुछ करो, आज एक कुछ किए और कल आप उसको दूसरे कुछ किए, इसमें it creates lot of confusion, lot of inconsistency, and what it does, it doesn't help the children. They will make choices that are not consistent because you are not clear in your expectations, and children are not getting enough practice also. Provide one-on-one attention when you are addressing a specific behavior from a child. Uske sab alag se baat kijiye. Talk to him, just taking him to the side, so he doesn't have to feel he's being disrespected or humiliated in front of his classmates. So that is also something we need to always practice. Keep your voice interesting and enthusiastic. So keeping that enthusiasm in your voice and keeping it interesting is always an effective tool to hold the children's attention. And vary your tone for effectiveness. जैसे कि हमने अभी बताए volume की जो बात, कि modulating that volume, that pitch, that tone in your voice makes a huge difference. Ki, what are you trying to convey? What is the message you are trying to give? And that modulation keeps the children engaged, makes this interesting, and that helps the children immensely to pay attention and be engaged. So here, I am not sure if I'm able to play this YouTube video. I did try it, and honestly speaking, but I really love this video clip, which talks about voice, tone, pitch, and modulation. So It's a little technical thing that I'm unable to play this video for you, but I would really encourage you to copy paste this URL link. And if you could go to the YouTube and you watch it, this video, it gives a very, very effective way of showing you firsthand that how can we help the children to. I tried my level best to do it, and I do apologize for not being able to play it literally in front of you. But even if you Google voice modulation as an effective tool for teaching young children, there are a lot of video clips that come up, and I'm going to try my best to make it work. So as we come to concluding our training for today, I want to let you know that what your voice is a simple way you can transform your teaching and make it more enthusiastic and make it more effective. So these simple, subtle changes that we talked about can be used, and it creates a significant, profound impact on your whole classroom setup. So if you use this training, these tips and strategies that I have shared with you today, and use it effectively and make it a practice for yourself and make it a practice for your children as well, then it would be of immense help. And you will see that your classroom is running very, very, very smoothly. And your teaching and your management becomes so much more easier and simpler. Your classroom would look like a well-oiled machine. And as we all say, practice, practice, and more practice. There is no harm in practicing. So learn, practice, improve. It goes in a little cycle. So children learn, children have the opportunity to practice it. And that's what it does, is it helps the children to improve and master that skill. So having that said, I hope you have learned some effective and successful strategies, how you can use voice modulation, your tone, your speech, your clarity, your body language, to effectively use it to communicate and make learning fun and engaging. With this, I conclude this session today, and thank you all.